preparing to live stream. And we're on. We're on live. So, good evening, everybody. Hey, guys, thanks. Thanks for being here. So, we're gonna live stream. Oh, what is that?
Press record.
Oh, that's me. We're listening to me. Oh my gosh. Okay.
And we're on. We're on.
All right. I guess we have to edit that out. Well, at least we know it works. It's going live on YouTube. So, honey, yung sinend mo sa amin
Right,
na Facebook page. I think
right.
we can talk about that. You want to create that for everybody?
Sure. Okay, great. Okay, good evening, everybody. We were gonna talk about something more mundane today, but
Di ba
uh,
pagkain, Filipino
pagkain
food
dapat
dapat?
di ba? We're gonna talk about
Oo.
food, right? But
Pero,
I found food for thought. So we were gonna talk about yeah. So I found something. I came across something on social media today that takes off from what we were talking about last time about
di ba?
language, right?
Mm.
And how it impacts us as a culture, as a people. And this particular article by Shakira Season. Shakira Season is a multi-awarded journalist, Filipino. Uh, she's a multi-awarded writer and journalist. She's a Filipino based in New York now,
Mm.
and she wrote something. So mostly it's going to be a reaction video. Pangit. Reaction video from what she said, because what she said really, it strikes a chord, and it's
It,
worth
it
what.
must have because ang dami-daming ang dami-daming nag-react, di ba?
Oh, we really haven't. I mean, we may have observed this in our language, but
Yeah.
this really needs to be threshed out, and we
Right.
really need to be present to the negativity and the disempowerment of certain expressions in our language. So she called this the language of submission. So let me just first read the
Mm.
first part. All right, hayaan mo na. Huwag mo na lang pansinin. Lalang yan. Bayaan na lang yan. Di bali na. Pagdasal mo na lang. Wala magagawa. Ano bang gagawin ko? Andyan na eh. Andyan na yan eh. So how many dismissive and invalidating, this is what Shakira said, how many dismissive and invalidating Tagalog expressions do you know? We're so
Mm.
versed in submission, and this is why. You want to take on the next one? So she
Ano
discusses
yun?
it later on. She discusses it further on, but there are more disempowering expressions that she
Hindi,
that she.
ano sabihin mo na lahat tapos
Okay, sige.
we
All
can
right. O
discuss it
sige. So
slowly.
magtatagalog na ulit tayo ngayon? Hindi.
Oh, di ba?
O
Kasi
sige.
kasi gusto ko mag-practice eh.
O sige. Pero Shakira, this is all in social media. I'm not sure if it's written down in an article somewhere, but she just
Mm.
posted this recently. So
Yep.
nanay mo yan, pakinggan mo. Galangin mo ang tatay mo. Yaan mo na yung lolo mo. Pamilya yan, hindi tinatalikuran. Dugo mo yan. Wala kang magagawa. And she says, how many expressions don't allow boundaries? We are trained to worship our families, to be absolutely subordinate, even when they're wrong. Meanwhile, it's hard to find an expression of discontent that's not already angry. An expression of discontent, perhaps she's referring to the Filipino language.
Mm.
Hindi maganda ang ginawa mo. Sa susunod, ganito. Almost never hear that. But you always hear, gago, tarantado, wala kang kwentang tao. So you're saying,
Mm.
hindi maganda ang ginawa mo, but what you're hearing, the other person hearing is, all those swear words. So we go from everything under the surface to nuclear bomb. So we are talking about, the slow burn, and then boom. We don't have a language of boundaries, of saying no, of disappointing people with avoidance or declining to engage of declining to engage instead of engaging in a conversation we know will be toxic. We don't ever say, I don't want to talk about that, or you can't speak to me that way. Why? So going on, this is still Shakira.
Oh.
We've trained everyone to be entitled to a full conversation about every little detail of our life, including our weight, skin clarity, career, love life, marriage and parenthood status, medical issues, and child rearing. That withholding anything is considered disrespectful, when actually revealing these details in the first place sets you up to be disrespected. It's absolutely unheard of for anyone to say they don't discuss their personal life or that something is too personal to discuss. No one ever walks away. It's considered rude to have space. Coworkers are offended when you don't add them on social media. They say wala kang pakisama if you won't socialize outside of work. And even the great
Mm.
responsibility of being a godparent cannot be declined. It's rude and malas or bad luck to not want to co-parent an infant in the ways of the Lord. This culture of acquiescence also translates to how we are governed by bad leaders.
Mm.
Yaan mo na, tanggapin mo na, tatay mo yan, galangin mo siya.
6 na
Wala kang
taon lang.
magagawa. Mm-mm. There's no dialogue. Complaints
Which
mean
goes back, which
defiance.
goes to pasensya na.
Aha! And pasensya isn't even Filipino. I mean, there's no dialogue. Complaints mean
Right.
defiance. Protest is discouraged, and worship must be absolute. And the biggest
Mm.
drawback about this dynamic is that our relationships never improve when you can't communicate what makes you unhappy about them. You just seethe in anger and then cut ties. There's no in between, no opportunity to learn how to be better, kinder, more sensitive. So those are the words of Shakira Season.
Was ano, article ba to?
It's a post from, it's in her social media, but
Mm.
it's a post that dates back May 31, 2019.
Okay.
Alam mo,
Mm.
Okay, so
what you said, yeah, what you said reminded me. I have an older ate
Mm.
who cut me,
Oh,
from the two elections ago pa.
hala.
Because dahil I was so passionate with my candidate and you so against her candidate. And I'm the younger cousin, diba? Yung sinasabi mo, like, you can't say no to an ate. Like, it's hierarchy eh. Pag mas panganay ako, wala ka na, huwag ka. Sunod ka. But, because I was so passionate and so self-expressed, hindi na ako pinapansin. Pero, naman, I think the good thing about it, kasi on my part, it's forgiven na. Pero what you said about when is the time, when is it safe to say no, I don't agree with you. Diba? Um, it's it's a cultural within family. It's a culture more than our culture as Filipino people. It's a culture within family. Like meron talagang ganong hierarchy. Like pag mas matanda yung anak, mas may karapatang magsabi, mas may karapatang pakikinggan dapat, may respeto. It's an internal within family, cultural siya. Pero hindi siya nag-work. Kasi di ba, parang like for me, di ba, yung pakiramdam ko, ako yung pinakabata, dapat, I mean, hindi man dapat, pero parang hindi ako pwedeng, hindi ako pwedeng hindi umagree or hindi ako pwedeng mag-against sa mga opinion nila. It's it's
mm.
it's painful. Kasi parang as a nakakabata, I feel disrespected too. Na parang ang respeto ay para lamang sa paano isa ako sa pinakabunso? Kumusta naman, 'di ba?
Oo.
Pag hindi kung hindi ako natutong panindigan kung sino ako at kung idinepend ko lang yung buhay ko sa kung ano yung kultura ng pamilya. It's like a title na okay, manahimik ka lang diyan kasi bata ka,
Oo. So, but,
'di ba?
but when that does that end nga eh? I was talking to my sister today. Parang, funny, my sister's an American, a Filipino American. That's we were talking about plans, right? And so you guys, I'm 50. And she was saying, pumayag na ba si Mommy? Pero ako, kailan hindi siya papayag? Parang, when, di ba, how old do we need to be to, di ba, to stop asking permission
Uh,
and start
about you
submitting?
going there?
Yeah, about me going there. Parang, pumayag na ba? Parang, and then both of us started laughing because we're acting like we're in like, I'm not going to the prom, mom. Parang, when when do we when do we stop submitting? Right? Of
Yes.
course, syempre, it's all in conversation. It's very kwan, di ba? Parang, wala naman, she can't, wala, like, one of the statements of submission you can use against it. Like, wala namang magagawa eh. Matanda na ako,
Yeah.
di ba? But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's highly amusing to think about. No matter how old you are, there's still that you need to still submit to somebody, in the hierarchy, like Weng said.
Yes.
Weird.
Yes. And hashtag relate ako with you, honey. Kasi
Yeah.
pagka gabi ka na uuwi, may aray eh. May kaba.
Uh-uh.
Dapat i-text mo na medyo ano po ako, ganyan-ganyan. Hindi siya question of it's like automatic. Diba na parang kailangan mo magpaalam, pag alam mo kailangan mo magsabi sa kapatid mo, kailangan mo magsabi ka sa nanay mo. Kasi in-expect ka nila eh, diba? Pero, it's really more on, nga eh, pag na-realize mo siya, naman, Diyos ko naman Lord, 40 anyos na ako. Pero it's cultural.
Right. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's because we live with our parents, diba? Most Asian people. It's not even like a Western thing. It's not even like a common thing. Most of the world lives with their families. And even when they have families of their own, we still live with, the parental units, the grandparents, etc. It's very Western to think that when you're 18, you just go out and, bahala ka na sa buhay mo.
So do you think because of that acculturation sa pamilya na maski na nasa labas ka na ng family, you still begin to act the same way? Like, I guess that's why sometimes na yung mga people with authority sa business or at work, we relate to them na parang not I see that a lot of people relate to them na parang they're better, they're higher, parang they relate to their bosses like their parents, parang ganon.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
I think which creates this thing, yung sinabi ni Shakira na no dialogue, di ba? So you take and take and take. Okay lang, hayaan mo na all of those conversations, pero you're building up some kind of resentment hanggang sa puputok na yung galit. That's why there's no dialogue, and it becomes again it goes all the way to the other end of the spectrum, which is now a big like that.
Right.
Because people can't express themselves, people can't negotiate. Wow. Okay. I mean, I'm really more interested in you guys. I noticed this, but it doesn't really apply to me.
Right.
Okay. Although I notice it. Okay. Kasi sa amin, we're not like that.
Right.
Although our parents are like that, but because dahil lumaki kami doon, lahat ng all 7 brothers and sisters, we don't subscribe to this. We pretty much.
Meron siyang pros and cons eh. Meron siyang advantage,
I think
meron din siyang
I think
disadvantages.
I think talaga initially the culture is supposed to meant to empower, right? But after a while, pag di mo nakikita, you don't distinguish certain things. A lot of things start not to work, and I think
Because,
this is what this conversation or what Shakira is pointing out that
yeah.
people don't see it.
Kasi I also have a cousin who's also one of the senior, yung isa sa mga pinakamatanda kong pinsan. She's really clear about her responsibility sa aming magpipinsan. Pag merong dalawa dyan na medyo hindi nagkakasundo, pinanindigan niya talaga ng pag-ayusin yung dalawa. Talagang sinasabi niya, ate niyo ako, pareho kayong makinig sa akin. Ano na yan? Tama na yan. Bati na, ganyan. Like, and we listen to her. Kasi she's clear na parang ako, ate ako, gusto ko lahat tayo magkakasundo. Ganito tayo pinalaki nila lolo't lola, ganyan-ganyan. So, meron din siyang advantages, pero meron nga din siyang disadvantages at one point. Kasi, hindi ko, tama yung sinabi ni Chef Justice when do you draw the line? When do you say it's okay? When do you say it's not okay? Pero kung inumpisahan kasi siya as ganon, cultural, sometimes, hindi na siya kuni-question. Kasi, diba, gulo yan pagka hindi mo siya sinunod. Para ka ng black sheep niyan sa family. Pero, ewan ko. Ano sa
Hindi.
tingin mo, the code?
Well,
Meron ba kayong ganon?
I want to go back to the definition of culture, which was said by a social anthropologist. Sabi niya, culture is really nothing but a set of behaviors that we expect and reward.
Yes.
And the opposite is also true. If you are behaving in a way which is not contrary, which is not consistent with the culture, you get punished. So, I mean, and there are microcultures. For example, merong Atenista culture, merong Assumptionista culture. And if
Yeah.
you're the odd man out, automatically you're an outcast. So I guess smart heart, you're based on the story that you said. What I'm hearing is, ikaw yung kakaiba eh. So
Yeah.
in their culture, you don't work, but in your
Yeah.
culture, they don't work.
And if it doesn't work, we have a word for it. Pasaway.
Pasaway.
Yeah.
Pasaway. And
Yes.
hindi ako masunuring bata eh. Alam ng magulang ko to eh. Ewan ko, hindi ko alam kung saan galing eh. Like, there are the times that I would go behind their back to do something that I really wanted to do, diba? Even when I was an adult. Like, ano ba? Like, I really wanted to go scuba diving. We had a drowning in our family way back in the 40s. But so my mom doesn't swim, diba? My dad, my sisters, on the other hand, are champion swimmers. Ito, scuba diving, ibang level na yan, sa ilalim pa na ng tubig, diba? But I just went and did it. Like, behind their back. And then later on, tanggap na nila, yan, pasaway yan. And then later on, when they see that you really like it and you're good at it, then fine, di ba? Even in school, di ba? The traditional Filipino family, it's different. Like in the US, they want you to become nurses, right? Dito sa Pilipinas, kailangan maging doktor ka, abogado ka, or accountant, business person. Yung meron kang titulo. And I wasn't like that in the beginning, di ba? I eventually, decided for myself. Pero pasaway ako. Parang ano kaya, mascom? Anong gagawin mo? Alalay ka ng artista. Di ba? But I still did it anyway, di ba? And even driving. I started to drive way before I got my license. Di ba? So, yung mga ganun na bagay. I mean, you think about it and then in hindsight, you realize that they mean well. But culturally, di ba? But maybe it's because I didn't submit.
That's right.
Pero
In
at the
those
same time,
instances,
maski na ganyan na attitude, because I'm the same way. But it's a form of parang rebellion na yon.
Yeah.
In a
Yeah.
sense. So
Yeah.
paano natin mapapag-usapan to in a way that is level, that is objective, so that maski na bata pa yung mga tao, these things can be examined already. You
Right.
think that is possible?
Possible naman siya.
Huh?
Kasi, possible naman siya.
Kasi
Kasi,
lahat ito sinasabi natin, it's all kind of like in the background. The culture is in the
yeah.
back, it's a background conversation, di ba? And for the most part, walang nag-examine dito except for once in a while articles like this, or conversations like this, but it's not the norm. Hindi yan yung norm. So, ang question ko, pwede ba itong pag-usapan na walang is there a possible venue where these things can be talked about, without the emotional charge, and you know what I mean? And
Right.
how would that take place? Because really, like we said, to the degree na hindi natin na-examine the culture, yeah, many times it's very disempowering, and it really becomes, ang constraint natin as a culture, or as people.
So maybe what really it begs the question, eh. What I see for my what really would work would be to really create a dialogue between, let's say, family members, without crossing the boundaries, or not, balancing the possibility of disrespect and being bastos and being pasaway, and at the same time self-expression, di ba? But dialogue can't even be possible if at the meantime, pabayaan mo na yan. Huwag na, ganyan naman talaga yan eh. Di ba? So it's not just in the family, it's also in the government, it's also in the institutions, di ba? When you speak up, all of a sudden, you're tagged something, anti-government ka na agad, or instead of wanting to be a real contribution to have things work. So, I don't know. Ngayon ba, Weng, Miss Smart Heart, mga bata ba ngayon are mas may kalayaan magsalita ng
Alam mo, wala kasi ako masyadong access sa ibang kabataan. Pero kasi
Oo.
ako, ang access ko sa bataan, nandito ngayon sa bahay, yung
Oo.
dalawang pamangkin ko. Isang 7 years old, isang 10 years old. Tapos syempre yung binata ko, di ba? Kanina, habang kumakain kami ng dinner, naglolokohan kami, nag-joke-jokean kami. Kasi ang uso ngayon is prank. Di ba? So, niloloko ko yung dalawang bata. Sabi ko, ipa-prank ko kayo, lalagyan ko kayong lipstick pag natutulog kayo. Tapos, padala ko kay sa papa nila sa probinsya, ganyan-ganyan. Yung maliit, yung 7 years old, gumanon yung kamay niya, oh. Tapos nanginginig na sa galit. Kasi maton yun eh, lalaki yun. Tapos, i-joke ko siya, nalalagyan ko siya ng lipstick. Tapos sabi ng mom ko, sabi niya, tigilan mo na yan, napipi ko na. Diba? Cut na agad, pabayaan mo na. Pero sinabi ako sa pamangkin ko, sabihin mo, sige na, sabi ko, sabihin mo, tiya, tigilan mo na yan. Kasi nagagalit na ako. Hindi niya talaga sinasabi, twice ko siyang ginanon. Tapos sabi ko, sabihin mo na, tiya, tigil ka na po kasi nagagalit na po ako. Nung twice ko siya, kasi yung personality niya tahimik eh. Ganyan nga, yung parang na lang, magwawala na lang, ganyan. On the second time, sinabi niya, tiya, in Bicol pa nga eh, tigilan mo na, nagagalit na ako. Sabi ko, tapos saka ako sinabi sa kanya, sige, titigil na ako. Tapos, mo yun, nakikinig lang yung nanay ko. Kasi nga, ang automatic is to just pabayaan mo na. Pero para sa akin kasi, culturally, naniniwala ako, kailangan i-communicate nila yung boundary nila eh. I-communicate nila yung boundary nila, i-communicate nila yung nararamdaman nila. Diba? Kasi ang automatic magdagalit, tas tatahimik. Kasi bata eh, diba? Hindi naman sila ini-encourage na magsalita, anong nararamdaman mo.
Oo.
So, hindi ko alam. Pero kasi meron din mga kabataan ngayon nagka-cutting. Di ba? Yung nagka-cut sila. Yung anak ng co-teacher ng mom ko na isa, nabalitaan ko, nagka-cutting, kaidaran lang ng anak ko. Kasi hindi nagko-communicate sa magulang. Pag nandyan yung magulang, tahimik lang. So, tama yung sinabi mo, yung language na yon, yung pabayaan mo na, wag mo nang pansinin, pero tumatanim yung sama ng loob mo, alam mo yun, hindi siya dapat, para sa akin, dapat talaga dun, umpisa pa lang pinag-uusapan eh.
At saka,
Para mas may freedom.
tama. Kasi nga, di ba pinag-usapan na natin na minsan nga, yung interpretasyon natin na nangyari, talagang huhubog sa atin. Dala-dala natin yan, buong buhay
Yes.
natin, di ba? Can you imagine kung hindi niya naintindihan yung talagang ibig mo sabihin na, di ba, nakatanim yan at buong buhay mo, baka ma-implement, nandun yung nandun yung
Yes.
influence noon eh. Kaya kunwari, ako rin, meron akong pamangkin, 9 years old. Magmula na, kunwari daw, meron silang gawing mali or meron akong gawing mali na napagalitan ko sila, kailangan paliwanag ko na pagkatapos. Ito kasi ganyan. Hindi ibig sabihin na hindi kita mahal. Hindi ibig sabihin na tanga ka o hindi ka hindi ka magaling na bata, 'di ba? At saka yung kwa nila ngayon eh, yung bata ngayon, napansin ko nga doon sa dalawang pamangkin ko, ano din sila eh. Maybe, nung bata kami, hindi kami encouraged na magganyan yung magsalita ng madaldal, di ba? Parang mahimik ka habang nagsasalita ang matanda. Mahilig sila ano yun, yung what's that, especially pag nagtatagalog kami, kasi kung hindi nila maintindihan, tas parang may juicy na chismis. What's that? Kung bata ako noon, kung ako yun, wala, usapang matanda to, tumahimik ka na lang, ganyan, di ba? Pero ngayon, parang ewan ko, maybe it's the new culture, maybe it's the exposure they have on, sa TV, sa na pwede silang magsalita, di ba? Parang ito, tita, what does popular mean? Sabi, ito, favorite ng pamangko si Rick Astley. Sabi ko, si Rick Astley, favorite ko yun. Rick rolling. Tapos sabi niya minsan sa akin, tita, tapos nagkukwento siya. Di ba? Parang sabi niya, who's that tita? That's Rick Astley. Who's Rick Astley? He's a very popular person. He was very popular in the 90s. And then, tinanong niya ako, bata pa siya noon, what is popular? When a lot of people like you, you're famous, etc. And then sabi niya, tita, I'm not popular. Parang, kung i-encourage mo yan, di ba, na you take time to explain to them popularity does not mean fame or fortune or that a lot of people like you, or it's not even a good thing. Di ba? To be popular, for example, in school. Dadalhin mo yan buong buhay mo na hindi ako popular and then alam mo natin na mangyayari doon, magko-compensate ka kasi hindi ka ganyan ka, So, I'm happy that at least for the two of them, sila lang naman rin, pareho tayo, Weng, sila lang ang mga kabataan na yung nakikita ko, na nakakapag-express sila to some extent, di ba? Kahit na nag-aaway silang dalawa, kambal yun eh. Na pag nag-aaway sila, doon nila nilalabas lahat ng sama ng loob sa isa't isa, tapos mamaya okay. Pagkatapos okay na. Kagaya nung mag-aaway kami magkapatid, hindi ka pa pwede magsigawan. Stand in the corner. Diba? Kahit na alam mo, dami-daming gusto sabihin, stand in the corner. Tapos walang nare-resolve. Diba? Kasi walang dialogue, walang usapan. So yun, diba? That's one way of submission.
I do notice that dito sa kultura natin, parang missing yung real dialogue.
Yep.
Where people can actually talk about the issue rather than, I'm right, you're wrong, whether you're right or I'm wrong. Diba? Kasi very evident yun. Pag nakikita mo maski na sa mga lawmakers, sa Senado or something like that, all those things. It becomes ad hominem yung conversation,
Yes.
diba? Instead na pag pinag-uusapan yung issue, ang pinag-uusapan, mali ka, o gago ka, o stupid ka, ganun. Instead of ano bang point ko? Parang ganun. It stems from this, I think. Right? People can't just share, express themselves, express their point of view without feeling being attacked,
right,
or without attacking somebody else rather than dealing with the issue, right? So yeah, there's definitely, we as children, we bring these traits, as we grow up, and we bring it to our business, we bring it to our relationships, and as leaders, uy, nako, patay. Di ba? Also, ito pang nakita ko yung unang sinabi mo, honey, yung
Oo.
sinabi ni Shakira na yung the list of things na sinasabi natin, yung mga
Oo.
hayaan mo na,
Oo.
bahala na, all that stuff.
Oo.
What I get there is parang hindi ka responsible, di ba? So, ang mga pag sinasabi mo yan, you're off the hook.
Yeah.
Parang ganon. Right? So it creates no ownership with whatever it is that you're saying. Bahala na, parang bahala na si Batman. Or
Actually,
magdasal ka na lang.
it's also more than the not being responsible. Parang pakiramdam ko nga pagka ito sinabi mo sa kaibigan mo na inis siya sa isa pang tao. Di ba, bayaan mo na, huwag mo nang pansinin yan. Parang ini-invalidate mo rin yung nararamdaman ng kaibigan mo di ba? Na parang imbis na suportahan mo, ano ba ang di mo nagustuhan? Bakit ka ba nasaktan? Siya ba talaga yun? O yung naramdaman mo o nag-react ka, di ba? Hindi siya pinag-uusapan. Alam mo yun? Huwag mo nang pansinin yun. Wala naman yun Parang hindi naman yun mahalaga
Or, on the flip side is, sugurin na natin yan. Mga punyetang ano yan.
Di ba?
Yun.
Abangan natin yan.
Abangan na natin yan. Yun na, diretso na.
There's no midpoint. There's no midpoint. It's either here or there. Right?
Oo. Diba? So, paano mo nga yan, parang mo yan mapapangwalang bahala. Maganda pa yung sinabi ni Shakira na walang magagawa. Diba? Yun yung madalas na sinasabi ng mga pinakamababa sa kumpanya, diba? Wala naman akong magagawa pag gusto nila, diba? Yung sa rank and file, diba? Sa kumpanya. Pag ikaw yung mga pinakamababang pwesto, tatahimik ka na lang, wala naman akong magagawa. Pero nun Pag tiningnan mo, 'di ba? Tingnan mo the coach, 'di ba? Usually yung improvement ng buong kumpanya, pinaka-gold diyan yung nasa pinakamababa Kasi sila yung directly na nakikirelate sa mga customers, 'di ba? Yung mga decision makers, yung mga rank and file, yung mga managers, di naman yan So parang kung meron lang sanang venue wherein pwede nilang sabihin kung ano yung pwede nilang sabihin sa ikauunlad, 'di ba? ng isang organisasyon, di sana mas may improvement yung kumpanya. Kahit tayo na lang dito. Di ba? Yung mga mahihirap, walang boses. Wala naman ako magagawa Di ba? Tapos ang mga nasa pwesto, hindi naman nakikinig. Ito, alam namin, nakapag-aral kami sa ganito eskwelahan. 20 taon na akong nasa politika, alam ko na yan. Di ba? Pero talaga bang nakikinig sila dun sa mga taong wala nang makain dahil walang trabaho? Diba? Ano yung pinagdadaanan nila? Hindi ko alam Pero kailan yung pagkakataon na dapat mo siyang ikat na makinig naman kayo sa akin? Or hindi pwedeng pabayaan na lang. Diba? Kailan yun? Yun ang tanong, diba?
Kasi what I'm seeing is a different thing. So, si The Monk, diba, sa kanya, there's no sense of responsibility. Hugas kamay ako. Kasi wala na akong magagawa dyan. Pero, because I grew up in that kind of environment where I had to follow everything. So, from my point of view, how I see it naman is it's a sense of powerlessness. Na parang, kung titingnan mo nga daw, the educational system teaches kids to be obedient. Kasi what they need to produce, what schools need to produce, are people who will be obedient workers. This was something that dated back to the time of the industrial age, where they needed to create a lot of manual laborers,
cogs in the machine.
Yeah, and the only way that they're useful is if they were efficient, obedient. But going back to the question of the Monk, ano yung impact nito? Well, how many decades did it take for the Philippines to get rid of the dictator? Walang language of negotiation Yun nga sabi ni, I think what Shakira said, di ba, na parang walang middle ground. Pag mo nagsalita ka, galit ka na. And usually yung galit lumalabas through labels. Puno ka na. Oo.
Yeah.
And it's very dismissive. So for example, if someone doesn't like gay people, may galit agad salot. Ayan. Or someone doesn't like a political opinion, malilabel ka as dilawan or DDS. So walang middle ground. It's always this black and white culture that we're in. Pero I just wanted to share, for me, Kasi, yun nga, exposed ako na you have to be obedient from the very start. There's no talking. It's either pagtiyagaan mo or
Hmm.
do something about it. Like, if I
That's
had
another one.
not been...
Pagtsagaan mo.
Oh,
I said that's
pagtiyagaan.
another one. I just when you heard it, like, oh, that's another one. Pagtsagaan mo na. Like,
So
okay, go ahead.
parang,
Sorry.
so as Chef Justice was reading, actually, I think the last thought about Shakira's paragraph, na yun na, there's no negotiation. All of a sudden, for relationships, the only thing that happens is, aalis ka na lang kasi hindi
Uh,
mo ma-communicate kung ano yung gusto mo. I mean, the only time
or
that I became aware of that was years later after I broke up with someone that you guys all know. Na-meet niyo. Tapos kasi parang hindi ako nagsabi kung ano yung gusto ko, ano yung ayaw ko. And then, one day, nag-email na lang ako. I broke up through an email. Kasi there's
wow.
no conversation na, uy, pwede mo bang gawin to? Or pwedeng wag mong gawin to? Hindi, wala na lang.
Mm.
Email na, okay, these are the 10 reasons why I'm breaking up with you.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. So it also goes to we don't ask for things, which is part of it, diba? Mapupuno ka because when it's happening, you don't ask for something. So again, you just take it. You just take it. You don't negotiate. Then it goes to this point. Kaya nga, this is the source of the slow boil that you guys were talking about, right? It's slowly, like the frog in the tepid water, right? Next thing you know, the water's too hot. It's everything fails.
Right. Well,
So,
yeah, what I'm hearing is, communication is key. But then again, what if you have the experience of not being heard? Diba? And I'm thinking about why people have to go up, yung panahon namin ni RV, bakit namumundok yung mga yun? Diba? Because they were so frustrated with the government without agreeing with what they stand for, right? I can sort of get that this is the only way they know to express themselves. Diba? They're not being heard by the powers that be, or they're, so the only voices they know is through the barrel of a gun. Diba? So, and that, it's not even the rebels. I'm even thinking about the people who are in poverty now and to resort to crime. Hindi
Mm.
sila pinapakinggan, hindi pinapakinggan ang hinaing nila, or to begin with, hindi nila alam kung paano dumaing. 'Di ba? Kasi bakit pa ako hihingiling sa gobyerno? Wala namang bibigay sa akin 'yan. Bakit ko hihingi na taasan ng sahod ko or ang minimum wage? Rally sila ng rally, wala naman nangyayari. So there's yun na nga eh. Kasi nga walang ibang venue. That's less than rallying or taking out, going into the streets or into the mountains or taking up arms. Walang dialogue, walang pag-uusap. Yun lang.
Which which results now I'm starting to see this thing results in a collective resignation
Mm.
about what's possible in the future, diba? Because it's in the daily language kasi eh. As we said before, ang sinasabi na, is that right?
Sinasabi na.
Ang sinasabi natin, gagawa ng world. Our words
Mm-mm.
create the world.
Oo.
So, when we say those things on a daily basis, hayaan mo na, bahala na, wala akong magagawa. It really creates a future na talagang resign ka na in that future, wala kang masasabi, wala kang magagawa. You become parang a victim.
Pero yun nga eh. So, ngayong alam na natin to, anong pwede natin gawin? Diba? Kung
Magandang
ginagawa
tanong yan.
ng, diba? Kung ang mundo natin ay nakikreate sa pagsasalita, ano yung pwede natin gawin?
Yeah. No, I think, I don't know, in our own way, itong usapan natin na itong third conversation is one of those things, right? So, but how can we impact that these kinds of dialogues actually happen, even at the earliest stage, at the at the grade level where people are listened to, people are asked, instead of just listen to me, it's change that to what do you think,
Right. Oh my gosh.
and get people an opportunity to express, right?
I don't know what it's like,
Oo.
Without
Alvor.
without being threatened,
Right. I
without
don't
being
know.
threatened, because it's
What was it like? I only experienced some sort of Western education when I was
mm,
already a professional, but what was it like growing up in the American educational system? Because even now, I have to like squeeze. It feels like squeezing water out of rocks to get
mm.
some of my students to talk.
I I know.
Diba? So,
I know exactly what you mean.
diba? So,
And then, but at least kasi sa at least where I grew up, culturally people are already expressive. They say what they have to say. So that shows up in school. I was the one that was the shy one when I was there, right?
really?
Kasi ka-immigrate ko lang noon. I was like 11 years old, so I was the one.
Uh, uh,
But of course, over time, by the time I finished high school and college, ano
uh,
na rin, iba na rin. Pero so yeah, but I think there's something that can be done if you know teachers allow students to express themselves, ask questions. You're talking about smart heart, critical thinking, right? People are actually ask questions so then they can think critically rather than
yes.
just spew back whatever ito
Yeah.
memorize mo to, ito ang tama, ito ang dapat, yun, go, you're done. And can you regurgitate it? Okay, good, you pass, right? That's I think that's the kind of education that most people are getting,
Right.
fortunately, right? Rather than
I think para sa akin, para sa mga ating manonood, ang isa din na parang pwede nating i-consider aside from mga sinabi ni Mong is umpisang pahalagahan yung sarili natin.
Oo.
Kasi most of the time kaya hindi tayo nag-speak up kasi oo nga si nanay nagsabi ng ganyan, hindi ka na magsasalita. Pero kung nasaktan ka at mahal mo yung sarili mo, pwede naman na sabi, alam mo yung sinabi mo kanina, o sige mag-umpisa na lang tayo sa kaibigan.
Oo.
Diba? Na parang meron akong kaibigan, pag kami magkasama, sa isang oras na magkasama kami, 50 minutes na kwento puro siya.
Mm.
Talagang buong simula nung hindi kayo nagkita hanggang sa nagkita na naman kayo, ikukwento na parang pagka ako na natatakpan, alam mo, dumating ako sa point na nagkaroon na kami dahil mabuti naman kami magkaibigan, di ba? Pero nagkaroon kami ng point na tinatapik ko siya sa balikat. Ako naman. Sige, ikaw naman. Tapos tahimik na siya. Pero I think ang nagbago kasi doon is nag-umpisa ako mag-communicate na, alam mo, parang gusto ko rin naman magkwento kung ano na rin nangyayari sa akin. Hindi na lang ako yung palagi nakikinig. And simula noon, alam mo, mas lalong lumalim yung relasyon namin. So, I think ang nag-work doon, kasi ako, gusto ko rin magkwento. Nakakarami ka na, di ba? Gusto ko rin namang mag-share. So, parang dahil sa pagpapahalaga ko sa sarili ko, di ba, nagkaroon ako ng access sa action wherein ako naman. Diba? Kasi ako just to quickly share sa aming magkapatid, maganda yung relasyon namin magkapatid, pero pagka ako nakakapagsalita ng hindi niya nagugustuhan, at nararamdaman naman yun eh. Diba? Sa mga manonood natin, pag may taong na-offense sa'yo, mararamdaman mo yun. So at that point, meron kang option, manahimik ka kasi naging tama ka sa pagkakataon na yun, or puntahan mo siya sa kwarto niya at tanungin, okay ka lang? Tsaka siya magsasabi. Kasi sa amin magkapatid, ganun siya. Alam mo, hindi ko na gusto yung sinabi mo kanina. Sabi mo ganito, ganyan. Hindi naman yung ibig kong sabihin eh. Itong ibig kong sabihin, ganyan. Di sige, pasensya ka na, hindi ko sinasadya. Diba? Kasi pagka mas naging clear tayo, ano bang mahalaga? Aside from sarili, diba? Ang susunod niyan, relasyon. Pwede naman na, sige na, ikaw na tama. Pero yung relasyon nyo, bababaw. Until eventually, ayoko na kita makausap, di ka naman nakikinig, di ba? Pero kung mahalaga yung relasyon, lalo na kung pamilya, di ba? Then dapat mas meron tayong courage na magsabi kung ano yung nararamdaman natin. Ako ang lagi kong sinasabi, pag ako nagsasabi sa'yo, it's an expression of my love for you. Nire-respeto kita, kaya ako to sinasabi. So, yun yung medyo madadali. Kasi di ba, within family, yung sa scope lang ng circle, di ba? Yun. So, hindi ko alam yung sagot pagka mas marami na. Pero alam mo sa opisina, meron akong reputasyon na pag di nila kayang sabihin, ikaw na magsabi. Kasi talagang yung mga difficult conversation, kailangan siya ng kailangan siyang pinapractice. Hindi siya natututunan. Parang hindi lang siya one time, big time. Dapat talaga isinasabuhay. Sinasabuhay na magkaroon tayo ng courage sa mga conversation na medyo mahirap. Kasi 'di ba, medyo masakit din yung pwedeng maging resulta. Pwedeng awayin ka, pwedeng ma-disappoint ka, kagaya nga ng sinabi ko kanina, 'di ba? Yung pinsan ko, hindi niya na ako pinapansin kahit na anong gawin ko. So, may impact din siya. Pero kung gusto natin ng mundo na nag-i-improve, kung gusto natin ng maayos na mundo para sa mga bata, parang ang kailangan natin talagang ayusin at tingnan is yung mga sarili natin. Yun lang ang masasabi ko.
Si Maring Whitney, 'di ba, kumanta siya ng learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. Tapos tatandaan ko nung bata ako, yung pare galit na galit dun sa kantang yun, no? Sabi niya, ano ba naman yung mga
Oo.
singer ngayon? Love yourself? Hindi dapat you should love other people. Like, yung buong sermon niya na 30 minutes, inaatake lang si Maring Whitney
Oh
Houston.
my goodness.
And then,
Kaya,
and since hindi siya nako-collect sa kabataan, guess what? Pagdating sa corporate world, sabi nga ni The Monk, um, ang impact niyan pati sa pagtanda nila, eh. So meron kaming tine-train kasi yun nga yung work ko, 'di ba? Like, yung like how to non-violent communication. There's a book, si Marshall Rosenberg, and he teaches that. Yung parang, okay, begin with an observation. Alam mo, napansin ko, ginawa mo to. And then sasabihin mo yung feelings mo. Pag ginawa mo yan, ito yung nararamdaman ko. And then sasabihin mo yung needs mo. What I need from you is. And then make a request. What I request from you is. So hindi, kailangan mo siyang ituro step by step. And actually, the first time I read the book, sabi ko, how am I going to do this? Ang hirap.
Doesn't work.
So, yun na. So, pag hindi siya na-collect sa kabataan, tapos pagtanda na, ang hirap na eh. It's so...
Yeah, it is. Kasi ingrained na yun eh, di ba?
no?
It's a background, background context na hindi natin alam. Actually, hindi mo alam na ginagawa mo yun eh.
Yeah.
yes.
Right? It's all
Yes.
automatic. It's all automatic.
Tapos sabi nga nila, baka hindi daw siya memory sa brain. It's probably a memory in the nervous system. Kasi nung nagsalita ka, nung nagalit ka, napalo ka. So meron kang literally a physical memory of a pain that will happen to you pag nagsalita ka.
Oy, totoo yan, di ba? May sampal-sampal nung araw. Pag sumagot ka, pwede kang masampal. At acceptable yun, di ba?
Well, I mean, it's already been proven in neuroscience, like, right? All those things, create these neural pathways, and you can't change it. You just have to build a different neural pathway that is going to be, more powerful than the old habits. So, yeah. So I guess for us, it just really encourage people to express themselves and share their thoughts, and for us to be able to be willing to listen to other people's point of view without feeling being attacked or without feeling invalidated if other people's point of view is different or contrary to our own, diba? And kasi, as you know, a point of view is a point of view. It doesn't have to be right, but it is valid.
Yeah.
And if we can listen to other people's point of view and allow people to express themselves, beginning in our own family. Na tanungin mo, anong tingin mo dito? Just to listen, just to see where they're at. That's it. You don't have to agree or disagree. But this would be so good if this kind of conversation happens in grade school, di ba?
Oo.
Yeah. Alam mo, natatandaan ko nun. Super kwento. Yung anak ko, sabi kong gano'n, yung notebook mo, dapat ganito, dapat ganyan. Lagyan mo ng ganito, lagyan mo ng ganyan. Sabay sagot sa akin, my notebook, my rule. Diba? Ganito ko siya kasi, tapos, Oo, sige, pala ka dyan.
That's right.
Pero ako na-realize ko kung si mama yon, di ba, yung mga matatanda, i-disrespect yun. Pero sa akin talagang I was so happy na, wow, he's setting up his, cutting me and, honoring his own boundaries. And
Yes.
I'm so
At
proud.
saka sinabi mo, isa pa yun sa dapat na alisin natin sa language natin yung dapat.
Yes.
Dapat,
Yes.
oo
I
nga.
agree. I agree.
Very positional yun eh.
Right.
Tapos if somebody creates a contrary view, then galit ka na.
Oo.
Alam mo,
Na-attack mo yung
napaka-gold niyan, alam mo. Kung yan lang ang makukuha ng mga manonood natin sa gabing ito, natanggalin ang dapat sa
Oo.
vocabulary nila, sobrang ginto na nun. Diba?
Yeah.
Kasi pag tinanggal mo yun, walang resistance, walang dapat i-defend. It's siya, parang open lang siya para maging posible yung mga bagay na kinikreate natin. That's my goal sa usapan na to. Tanggalin ang dapat.
Oo.
Sa
Dapat walang dapat.
That's a good one.
Dapat walang
Dapat
dapat.
walang. That's a song, isn't it? Dapat walang dapat. If any songwriters, you should write a song. You should write a song that says dapat walang dapat.
Yeah.
And for me, another thing is lahat ng alam mong totoo, question it.
Right. Hello.
And question it, examine it, and have conversations with people about it until you see a different point of view. Okay. And seeing a different point of view does not necessarily mean your point of view is wrong. You simply have another point of view. So your universe gets expanded if you actually listen and allow people to share their points of view.
Disclaimer. Not applicable to election results.
Even election results.
Dapat questionin, di ba?
Question lahat. Then you can objectively look at it.
Paano pag hindi na reality?
Kailan ba eleksyon ng Pilipinas?
Kailan? 2022 pa naman.
Tagal pa.
Kasi kami dalawa ni Hanay, pupunta kami doon sa we
Civil
don't know
War.
what's gonna happen. We don't know what's gonna happen, right?
We're on the right coast though. We're not in the middle of.
Yes.
We're on the right coast.
You're in the West Coast.
Yeah, we're on the
Mauuna
west coast.
mauuna ka ng 10 days sa akin, so
Oo.
make sure that you contact me before and let me
Of
know what I need to deal with.
Yeah. Medyo safe tayo. Ang titignan ko nga yung mapa eh. The rest of yung gitna, pula. Hindi lang dahil bumoto sa pula, pero dahil sa COVID. Yung pupuntahan natin na part, medyo hindi siya ganun kalala. But, that's
pero California is still pretty high, ah.
It's high, but not as bad as the red states, which are red with COVID. Yeah, but mag-ingat ka rin, mag-ingat na. So isa pa yan, di ba? Ano ba yung COVID na yan? Madali lang pag-usapan. Ito lang yun eh. Ito yung precautions. Ito yung sabi ng mga doktor. Ito ang paano ka protektahan. Does not mean anything about your political affiliation. Para hindi ka lang mamatay. Does not mean anything about your fundamental freedoms. Pero yun eh. Dapat mag-mask ka, Aljor.
Dapat magmask ka. Okay.
Oh, God.
All right. Any last thoughts? We got 2 minutes. Smart heart. Then we just go around and we can complete it.
Sa akin siguro ang dalawang bagay. Unang-una is paano natin mas mamahalin ang sarili natin sa pamamagitan ng pagsabi kung ano yung totoong nararamdaman natin, para hindi tayo napipigilan or nasusuppress ng paligid natin. And number 2, tanggalin ang dapat sa bokabularyo. Para mas gumaan ang buhay, tanggalin ang dapat. Yun lang.
Cool. Thanks. Coach?
Actually, the last thing that I wanted to say was was related to the comment of Smart Heart, yung my notebook, my rules. Kasi si Generation Z, Sabi na it's the only truly global generation kasi they're exposed to the internet. So hindi na sila limited dun sa lingwahe na kinalakihan nila ng mga magulang nila. Um, and when they get exposed to a different kind of language, yun, nagkakaroon din sila ng different kind of mentality. So the more people have access to the internet in the Philippines, I think the faster change will happen.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Chef?
Yes. Um, there's so the language. Our conversation today is about the language of submission, which is also the language of resignation, the language of complacency. Nothing ever changes in the world when we just submit and be complacent and be resigned to what is. Diba? The language of the pasaway, I will say that it's not a anytime human being made progresses in the world, it's because there was somebody who was pasaway. Somebody said that this is possible when all evidence pointed na hindi pwede yan. Pabayaan na natin yan. Bakit ka magdadala ng ng tao sa buwan? Or bakit hindi naman bilog ang mundo Bakit 'di ba flat ang mundo pag we wouldn't have come this far as a civilization as if there weren't any pasaway. So pasaway does not mean being bastos. Pasaway does not mean invalidating elders or the hierarchy, etc. Pasaway is trying out an idea and expressing yourself towards something that might be possible for yourself, your life, your country, and the world. So yun lang. Pag tignan lang natin yung mga sinasabi natin, ito ba ano ba yan?
Empower.
Empower sa akin o hindi? Diba?
Yeah.
At sa ibang tao. Yun lang po. Oh.
Yeah.
And by the way, we miss you. Tech Guru was not kicked out. Tech Guru has just been so busy that he's resting.
Actually, he's home now. He's home
Yeah
now.
nga Shout out to
At nanonood daw siya from his bed.
so we miss you.
We miss you.
We hope you have you back.
So honey, Chef Justice, thank you for sharing that article with us today. I think it was a great conversation piece for this channel today. And for me, I just want to say that we just need to become aware of what comes out of our mouth.
Yeah.
We keep saying here in this channel that our world is created by our word. So be aware and be conscious of what you're saying, because what you say creates your experience, whether you like it or not. Okay. So that's it. This is the third conversation. Salamat po sa inyong lahat na nandito sa room na to. And for those of you who are watching, thank you very much for watching. All right. We will see you next week.
Bye.
Hello, thank you for watching. And if you're new here, welcome to our channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button over here, hit the notification bell, and also give us a like, all right? And also don't forget to watch these videos here so you can get more of what we do here in this channel. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.